Type Soul is in the most unbalanced state it has been in since re-release, and it is extremely frustrating for me as someone who wants to take this game seriously and competitively. If the developers had taken the time and played their own game, they would have realized the problems themselves because they were blatantly obvious. It is even more frustrating how the people who are supposedly supposed to balance this game are nerfing interactions surrounding the core problems of this game instead of the core problems themselves. I will start a mini-series where I discuss these core problems and how to fix them because I have no faith in people who are supposedly balancing this game. In this series, I will look at each race's elements, variants, passives, and gimmicks and compare them to each other to determine how they should be balanced. I was trying to find a way to drag this section out, but it is impossible. Swordbearers have no passives. Quincy's have a damage and defense boost, Arakars are the tankiest race in the game, and Swordbearers just exist? Why though? Makes zero sense. Shikai's is one of the only redeeming aspects that Swordbearers have going for them. Unlike the other races, Swordbearers have access to 3 of their elemental moves and base without requiring a specific item like a cybernetic box or a partial essence. However, the fact of the matter is that the essences that Swordbearers have access to aren't as strong as before, meaning that this one benefit has no upside. You can make an argument for Craze Splits, but I'm going to talk about that in the gimmick section of this video. Similarly, the strength of both Shikais in general is on par with the rest of the elements, meaning that talking about this section extensively is redundant. I could make arguments for each element being objectively better than the other, but it is impossible as each person prefers something else over the other for a specific reason. Swordbearers can access 3 of the 5 buffs that Wizard has access to: Attack, Defense, HP Regen, Speed, and Ryatsu Regen. If we were going to pair the best variants you can access from this list, which is Attack, Defense, and HP Regen, to any of the other variants in this game that are from a different race, you would realize that this is immediately outclassed by most of them. The Boost and Blood variant from Quincy's, for example, is just a direct upgrade of the Attack, Defense, and HP variant that Swordbearer has. The Boost variant gives a Ray Regen, Defense, Attack, and Speed boost to a Quincy, which quite literally just gives you 4 of the 5 variant buffs that Wizard has access to instead of 3 out of the 5. And the True Blood variant gives you a 10% damage bonus and a 25% defense boost. If you have a True Blood essence, which most competitive players do, this is arguably the best defensive True variant buff in the game. To put this into perspective, this means that you take a quarter less damage from all attacks in the game, plus the normal defense boost that you gain from your equipment for free. This means that you can get up to a 40% defense boost when fighting normally, which is even greater than a normal Rankar, because most people are trying to invest into hero penetration as much as possible. True variants also have access to a quote-unquote true moves that are supposed to be really strong. Cero Oscuras, for example, does really high damage, has a fast windup, and buffs to the specific variant they are using in some way. Quincy has a hyper armor long-range bow that guard breaks and deals high damage. Soul Reapers, however, have a visored Cero, which is quite literally a significantly weaker version of Cero Oscuras because it does not buff the variant that a Wizard has in any way. It is not worth it to use this move over any of the other moves that Wizard buffs at all. And before you say anything as to why I glossed over this fact, it was because Let's quite literally does the same thing. Let's in general is just an upgrade of Wizard. I understand that most of the competitive community watching this video is looking at me like I'm crazy because of one specific feature that Swordbearers have access to: Shunko. I will probably dedicate an entire video to Shunko in the future. Shunko is the best variant of Akuda to ever exist in this game and has seen extensive competitive success because of it. However, one specific gimmick for a specific skill tree does not warrant the entire race to be garbage outside of it. Even if Shunko is arguably the most problematic aspect to come out of this entire game, why did the balancers simply decide to nerf Shunko to make Swordbearers as a whole just better overall? The Zangetsu nerf, for example, was a byproduct of the power of Shunko. The Shikai itself, although extremely powerful, was not as broken as people made it out to be, especially if you compare it to Snow and Benihime. Swordbearers are squishier and deal less damage than every other race, while having the worst true variant in the game. To fix this problem, just give them any sort of passive that they could have innately, like Quincy's and Arakars have, and buff their variants. It isn't that difficult, and it is insane to me how they have been this bad for this long. Thank you for watching this entirety if you're here at the end of the video, and I will probably be making more content like this because I really like this game and they continue to ruin it with every single update because they focus more on content than balancing. Thank you.